Architecture in video games has gotten so realistic. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between what's real and what's not. That's because video games are often made with the help of real architects. Ubisoft's work with Assassin's Creed is so realistic that it's actually been used as study material by researchers and historians. And more architects are hired as game designers than ever before. But that wasn't always the case. Remember when video games used to look like this? So how did we get from this to this? And what's the relationship between architecture and level design? It was one particular game that really changed everything when it came to in-game architecture: GTA 3. It wasn't the first open-world game where the environment had to encourage exploration, but its bustling city streets and interactive 3D environments were completely revolutionary. And for the first time ever, buildings didn't feel like cardboard cutouts, and everybody just loved it. Level designers might not have had to deal with real-life problems architects face, like making sure buildings are not going to crumble or overheat in the summer, but thinking like an architect can definitely help them design better and more engaging games. Have you ever walked into a big room in a video game and immediately realized that something was about to go down? Game designers signal boss fights and other threats to players by using the architectural principles of compression and expansion. Narrow hallways and corridors compress people and encourage them to keep moving forward. When rooms expand and grow larger, people slow down and pay more attention to what's around them. Architects and game designers both use this technique to naturally guide people towards specific directions within a set building or environment. Another way in which architecture influences level design and players' experience is environmental storytelling, aka the art of arranging a careful selection of the objects available in a game world, including decorative elements in buildings, so that they suggest a story to the player who sees them. Take Anor Londo in Dark Souls. The city was inspired by City's Milan Cathedral, but it includes features unique to the lore of the game. It's a place where humans and giants once lived side by side. And because of that, when you climb the city stairs, you'll notice steps in two sizes, some narrow, some wide. In BioShock, Rapture is filled with Art Deco buildings and architectural style that was most popular in the 1920s. However, the game tells you Underwater City was actually constructed in the 1940s. It's a way of signaling that Andrew Ryan and Rapture's residents were stuck in the past.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique.
Because architecture has become more and more important to video games, a growing number of architects have entered the game design space. Ubisoft uses architectural consultants to make Assassin's Creed games feel as real as possible. Consultants usually begin working on games early in the design process. One of their tasks is helping identify real buildings that existed during that time period and figuring out what those structures would have looked like in the past. Basically building a mood board that's architecturally and historically accurate. Then, once game development actually starts, architects work side by side with the devs as they build the game's world, both when it comes to recreating real buildings and landmarks and creating new buildings that feel authentic to the setting and time period. Architects stay involved throughout the whole development process so that they can point out potential mistakes. For example, during the development of Assassin's Creed 2, the architectural consultant noticed that some buildings used wrought iron railings, which wouldn't have existed during the time period. The result? Ubisoft's models become so accurate that they've actually been used as a reference by researchers and historians. When the Notre Dame Cathedral caught on fire in 2019, Ubisoft shared their 3D model of the cathedral with the French government so that it could be used as a resource for the restoration project. Okay, Sure, not every single game is gonna help rebuild Notre Dame, but many studios are taking a different approach these days and hire architects as game designers. When indie developer Jonathan Blow was creating The Witness, a game without any dialogue, he knew it needed to have killer visual design. That's why he brought in an entire team of architects. Landscape architects constructed a virtual island while building designers created the game structures. With their help, he was able to make a game that didn't need words to tell a story. What's even more interesting, though, is that the architects he worked with applied game design tools to real-life projects, like designing spreading forests throughout California. In a similar way, Unity, a game engine that has been used for games like Genshin Impact and Fall Guys, is now also used by architects to convert 2D blueprints into 3D worlds. Architects also used other game development tools like Epic Games' Twinmotion software to create interactive, explorable versions of their designs. Thanks to pioneers like GTA 3 and Assassin's Creed, level design and architecture are becoming more and more interconnected, giving us more beautiful, vibrant, and immersive games, and ultimately showing that what makes playing video games special is often similar to what marvels us in the real world.